Hey YouTube, kind of the casual here of common casual wrestling, and anybody else feel like we got cashed in last night on that main event? Cause our truth is back, and I love that. And now the internet is debating if it was all a work. Was it fan reaction that brought our boy back? But whatever. We'll talk about that later, and I am going to prepare a whole uh Wrestle Rants video about that topic because I feel like we need to talk about releases, TKO, maybe a little bit of Triple H mixed in there. But that's not what we're here for. We are here for Wrestle R&R, which is going to be wrestling reviews and reacts. So I am going to be doing my version of star ratings, which will be title belts, and a much more lighthearted sense of word, the wrestling world, because let's be real, I think people take star ratings either too seriously or maybe sometimes just as seriously as they could need to be, but whatever. Here, we are going to measure in belts. Belts for me is going to be the equivalent of my star rating, and this is going to be a much more lighter system. So let's get on with the first match of the night. The first match of the night was the Women's Money in the Bank match. And with this whole event, I'm just going to say, go out of your way to watch Money in the Bank. If you did not watch it yesterday, please go watch it. It was a great event with a couple of down points, but we'll talk about that later. Again, we are casual here, we are nicer, but we are still honest. So anyway, ladies, we said earlier in the previous video that the 6 participants in this match all could have taken it, and I don't think anybody would really be mad. I wouldn't have, but of course I did have my pick, and I'm also going to follow up with who my picks were from the video before, and my pick won it. Naomi took the briefcase home, and the internet loves it mostly. There's a few angry reacts on Facebook, but hey, not everybody can be a monolith, I guess. But proceed with caution. Naomi has won Money in the Bank, and I am so excited for her. I am so excited for what's going to happen on SmackDown in the coming weeks, months, however long this cash-in takes to happen. But Naomi's hard work has paid off. This heel turn has paid off for her. It was awesome to see Big E on the post-show recognize her and their journey from FCW, the promotion that was turned into NXT. So yeah, super high for it. The match was great. I called 2 spots in the match, which was the Devil's Kiss on the ladder, except they doubled up with it. They they doubled up with it at Worlds Collide with Lola Vice. They just had Stephanie Vaquero do Devil's Kiss to Rhea Ripley, and if you pay attention to the internet, that probably couldn't have been a much better target from that. I'll let y'all figure that out because this channel is a clean channel. We're not gonna do too much of that. But the Devil's Kiss is the most over move in wrestling for a reason, so you can go figure that out why upon your view. There was also a spot that they doubled up on, just like they did at Worlds Collide. A spot that I wanted to happen with Roxanne Perez that they doubled up on, and that was both Roxanne Perez and Alexa Bliss both hitting Code Res, or as Roxanne Perez calls it, a Pop Rocks on the ladder bridge, and I wanted that spot to happen. It happened. Hopefully everybody made it out of this match, relatively unscathed, but the ladies showed out. They showed up, and man, it's the first time I'm rating matches on this channel, but sorry, no regrets. This match gets 5 casual belts from me. I loved it, and it was the result I wanted. You can't ask for too much more from a fan. Anyway, also, I think I want to talk about this in this part. I don't know if this was the next match or not, but I do want to talk about this part because I didn't give an official prediction for it. Honestly, because I forgot it was happening, and I was enjoying my day yesterday. My wife and I were celebrating my birthday, but then we came home to watch wrestling. something that happened at Worlds Collide, the NXT and AAA event that happened early in the day, was after the first match of the night, or not the night, I guess the afternoon, Dominic Mysterio was in the crowd, and he, starts to talk crap about his dad, how he's deadbeat and all that stuff, and yada, 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 yada. And then Octagon Jr., a star from AAA, is like, yo, man, what are you doing? Like, so they get into a shoving match, they brawl into the ring, they have to get separated, da, da, da. And Dominic grabs his microphone again, and he goes, hey, yo, we'll handle this at Money in the Bank. So, boom, surprise, we have a 5th match at Money in the Bank. I did not make a prediction for it. I did it in my head, and I picked Dominic Mysterio to retain, but it was a great showcase match, and that's exactly what happened. Dominic retained, but it was a good showing. The whole day was a great showing for AAA. If you're one of those people who doesn't appreciate the, let's say, the circus gymnastics of pro wrestling, I am not a big fan of tribalism, and you won't see that a lot on this channel. I like AEW. I like WWE. I like anybody with a good wrestling product that I'm interested in watching. So, pro wrestling is for everybody. Pro wrestling is supposed to be entertaining, and hey, sometimes the flippy dudes, combined with a good gimmick and, moves that you like, hey, it can be a good experience. But yeah, AAA showed what they can do at the Worlds Collide event, and Octagon Jr. also got to show what he can do on his first premium live event, Money in the Bank. So hey, can't be mad at it. But if we're gonna count that in my predictions, I did pick Dominic to retain. I thought it was just gonna be a showcase match, but an entertaining one, and it was. So shout out to them, Dominic and Octagon. Good moves, guys. But moving on, next back to our regular schedule programming, Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. So Dominic already retained his. Did Lyra Valkyria? And the answer is, unfortunately, she did not. And she had to raise the hand of the champ. I was expecting this match to at least be as good as their previous affair, and to me, it was better. I rated this a good 4 stars. For me, going below a 3 is when we start to get into the match actually wasn't that fun and entertaining, and I actually noticed some bad things about it. But no, this is in the 4 spot for me. Close to a 5. It's really hard to, how do I want to say this, live up to continued performance when you have a match that was as awesome as the Women's Money in the Bank match, and they had to follow that. I actually thought this match was going to be first. It was not. I would have booked it first, because then, okay, the crowd's warmed up by this match, and then you go to the Women's Money in the Bank match. Then maybe let them cool off on the Dominic Mysterio match and the Octagon Jr. match. But hey, whatever. Yeah, so I'm going to give this a 4. 4 title belts, I think. Because I was very much entertained. They brought up some new spots in this match too to really sell how heated of a rivalry this was, and I loved how well these two worked together. The stipulation in this match, if Lyra lost, was that Becky Lynch had to have her hand raised by the now dethroned champ, and she did, but she also poured it on a bit because she raised her hand, but Becky was saying, no, show my hand on all 4 corners of the ring, come on, let's do this right, kid, come on, do your thing. Lyra reluctantly does it, and Becky could not let well enough be alone. This is like, no, I want you to put the belt around me, on me, I'm the champ now, put the belt around me, honor me with this, right? So, further insult to injury, but Lyra's had enough. She does put the belt on her. And then she beats her up and hits her with a Nightwing. And I could not be any more happy to see that. So we'll see if this rivalry continues, but that was the 3rd match in this little trilogy, I guess, if you count the NXT match that they had. where Lyra got the surprise roll up. This match was good, but I'm gonna tell you my reason for giving it a 4. And the ending was this. You know how they have spots where they roll each other up, and they roll each other up, and they roll each other up, to try to get a little surprise, pin. This is what happened here, but they actually finished the match with that. And I am the type of person, I'm not a hardcore critic, but I do like to see matches end with a finish hit or submission. This might have been a good time for the disarm her submission finish. And then maybe you have Becky make Lyra raise her arm up with the now, damaged arm from the disarm her. That's just me. I'm not a hardcore critic, but I have little things, so close to a 5. Close to a 5, but this is gonna get a 4 here. I'm not a big fan of doing 2.5s or your 3.5s or your 3 3/4 stuff. Nah, I just want to do straight up things. I will only do halves if I really have goodwill towards something, but I like to see finishes hit to end matches. So, but ladies, excellent job from this fan, whatever that means for you guys. I loved it. Just wish a manhandle slam was hit or a disarm her. I voted disarm her. Yeah, but let's continue on. Our next match was the men's Money in the Bank match, and what a match this was! You know how they say that some matches can be overbooked? There were plenty of exciting moments in this match. Again, I'm not gonna break it down too much. I'll give you a few highlights. Like, of course, Seth Rollins and Solo Sikoa, two participants in the match, are 2 leaders of factions. So of course their factions are going to get involved. It's a ladder match. There are no DQs. So of course their crews come out. So while Seth Rollins is out, he calls upon his new squad, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. They come out and get involved in the match. They clear out everybody. And then comes the, they still don't have a real name now that they don't have like the Bloodline moniker. But out comes Jacob Fatu and JC Mateo. I really wish Jeff Cobb was still his name, but we know how name switching works in the company, so hey, whatever, can't have everything. But JC Mateo and, Fatu come down, and we get a big boy brawl between these 4, guys. Once that's over, Solo tries to take advantage of this, has Jacob Fatu set him up a ladder, and he's like, nah, set up that one's bigger. So Jacob sets up the ladder, and after this really grueling match, and we think Solo Sikoa, who some people actually picked to win the briefcase, which would have been interesting, actually. I don't know, not more interesting than what we got, but we'll talk about who won the match later. He's climbing up the ladder and he's stopped and he can't get it. His hands on the bottom of the case, he can't get it, and then suddenly he looks down and it's Jacob grabbing his foot after he helped him get up there. The previous night on SmackDown, he was talking to JC Mateo and he was pretty much just letting him know that, hey, he's not all gas, all brakes, or no brakes. He's all gas and no brains. And Jacob must have heard this, and he's like, no longer is it, I love you, Solo. Oh my gosh, I love how that got over fans so much. They were so excited for that. But he stops him and he says, I hate you, Solo. Pulls him down, beats him up bad, hits his moonsault on him, but he's not done. This dude hits Solo's finisher on a ladder on the outside. Commentary called it, Solo Sikoa's move a spinning Solo, but there was no real spin on it because they're on the ledge of the outside of the ring, so there's no real spinning Solo going on there. It's just a regular Uranagi. Your rock bottom type move, your bookend. But hey, the image was still great. Jacob leaves. And then we get back to the, regular competition of the match. But this is where my disappointment comes in. I'm just going to give you my rating now. My rating is 4 belts because it was still a great match. Great spots. We get to a point in this match where my pick, and I'm not mad because my pick didn't win. I'm mad at, well, okay, I'm not mad. I'm just slightly disappointed. And you might be thinking I'm nice guying this. Because the win is still interesting. The winner is still interesting. I am just slightly disappointed. But storylines can be good. The result, I don't want to call it a bad result, but there are a lot of people besides myself that are disappointed. LA Knight starts to climb the ladder that has been set up at this point in the match. He's on a breakaway. It looks like he's about to get it. I'm going crazy at home, the same way if you look on social media, me and wifey are going crazy. We wanted Naomi to win. We got it. And I thought my logic of, okay, heel wins one match, heel wins the opposite match. My logic was wrong. Even though I made the point that the Money in the Bank briefcase is kind of a heel gimmick. Well, anyway, LA Knight is pulled down by Seth Rollins, and he does try to fight Seth Rollins off, but the end result is a stomp, and Seth Rollins climbs with no one around to bring down the briefcase. Seth Rollins is the 2025 Men's Money in the Bank contract holder. Now, I love that this is a great play on the fact that he had it 10 years ago. And I think they did the Paul Heyman thing again, where that's not a spoiler, that's a fact, or whatever his thing is. I think that's not no, he says, that's not a prediction, that's a spoiler. And you have to be very cautious when Paul says that, because he usually doesn't say that without it being a reason. Yeah, there's kayfabe and all that, but when that line comes up, it probably is a spoiler. At least as far as what I've seen and observed over the last couple of years. I'm not mad that Seth Rollins has the briefcase, but I am upset that other people... I wouldn't have been mad if Solo Sikoa had it, because if you look at a lot of people's observations of Solo Sikoa last night, we have the, think him, saying bad things about, what he really thinks about Jacob Fatu, even though he brought him into the company. But it was also a whole thing of, if Solo gets the briefcase, you have a reason for this guy to, actually be pushed up to challenge for, a title with the briefcase. And it's like, for the longest time, I feel like he's the dork of the Bloodline saga. Like, everybody sees him and is like, okay, he's the try-hard trying to be tribal chief. And you even look at their real life, he seems like the big little brother amongst the Uso clan. And it's he's the one dude that you're kind of just like, man, after Jacob Fatu came in the company, it's like, oh, what's he gonna do now? He's no longer pretending to be tribal chief. He's no longer the enforcer of the bloodline. What are they gonna do with this guy? But he's proved himself, and his weekend look with the suits and everything. He's proved himself to be good on the mic. He's proved to be really entertaining and funny. The dude is the goofball of the Fatus, and I love it for him. If you watch the Men's Money in the Bank match, he has these comedic moments throughout the match, and it's hilarious. I'm giving a cracked laugh right now because I'm thinking about it, and it's hilarious. He could have benefited from an LA Knight. I kind of feel it a bit condescending. This guy, he's not a spring chicken when it comes to this business. Eli Drake was his name back in TNA. And he's gone through, the gimmick changes, the name changes in WWE. 2 United States title, wins on the main roster, and man, I don't know. You kind of wonder with how heavy the main event scene is right now. It's like, when is it gonna be his turn? And you would have thought that he would have been a top pick for the briefcase, because whose game is it, man? L.A. Knight. But we get, and again, Seth winning the briefcase is still interesting in storyline. And all the credit to the guy. I think, to an extent he deserves this. For, carrying the company, alongside Roman, I would argue, and Cody in the last couple of years. But man, I wanted somebody else who needs it. Seth has had the briefcase already, and he's won world titles. He doesn't need it, in my opinion. But that doesn't mean he can't still do something interesting with it. So let's watch Monday Night Raw tomorrow. He might cash in tomorrow night. Jey Uso was beat up from the main event of last night. He might cash in on the title match, with him versus Gunther. So maybe. Anyway, I gave it 4 stars primarily because of the end result. It's not because my pick didn't win. I could have seen a lot of these guys. There was an interesting takes for El Grande Americano. It would have been a dark horse win if Andrade won. But even Andrade seemed like, because he needs something too. I just talked about how him and Carmelo Hayes, they need something, man. And I'm scared for him because he just came back from AEW, not done too much. Carmelo Hayes, I don't really know what else he's done besides had that little series with Andrade, and he's got time to build something up for himself, but either one of these guys would have been good to hold a briefcase. Carmelo didn't qualify though, so Andrade's there. El Grande Americano cashing in for the AAA Mega Championship and follow up with Worlds Collide with Chad Gable. Would have been interesting. We don't know, but this is getting long-winded. I've made my point about Seth winning. It can still be interesting though, and I have no ill will towards Seth winning. It's more of, I'm just disappointed that somebody else didn't win, so I'm gonna be casual about it. I'm going to relax, because that is all what this channel is about. And last but not least, the tag team match of the night. The Unseen 17, John Cena versus... I almost skipped ahead because I have to say his name on camera, but tagging with Logan Paul. Woo! Versus the team of the former champ Cody Rhodes and the world heavyweight champ Jey Uso. 4 letters, 1 word. Yeet. My prediction was right. Just go ahead and jump to that. This match almost caught a 3. Because if it wasn't for the angles that happened in the match and a lot of the, great spots that happened during the match, I ain't gonna lie, I almost got distracted a lot watching this match. I was about to give it a middle in the road, because it wasn't bad, but I was about to give it a middle in the road type of score, and a 3, because there was moments in the match I got kind of distracted. I was here to see Logan Paul eat the pin. And I got that. But ladies and gentlemen, like I said earlier in this video, we got our truth back. So I'm just gonna skip ahead. But before I skip ahead, another reason why this score almost caught a 3 from me is because this move that Logan Paul has hit numerous times, the one he quote-unquote stole from Adam Hangman Page. Everybody steals moves in wrestling, by the way. I don't think he does the move better, but in AEW he calls it the buckshot lariat. We'll just call it the flipping lariat for the sake of Logan Paul. He tries to do this flipping lariat, and he trips, or he trips on the rope, or he trips on the mat when he lands after the flip, It doesn't look good, and I think Jey Uso recovered the spot by taking advantage of a super kick, but it didn't look good for Logan. But I'm not gonna take the time to come at his wrestling ability. I do think he can wrestle. Uh, I'm allowed to not like a guy, but admit that he can at least go in a ring. And he followed up by hitting that incredible Acai moonsault that he swore had never been done in WWE. No, it happened. There's footage of other people doing it before, but he did it to I think Jey Uso was the one who got hit on the outside on the table. My wife watched the was it whatever the show on Max is called with the Paul brothers and their family. And it was either a video online or that show. I can't remember. But he was talking about how nobody had done that move. It's a really dangerous move. But somewhere it was either a podcast or a video of some sort I saw. He never wanted to do that move again. So you know what? Shout out to him for at least facing his fears. Again, we are good-willed on this channel. No toxic, no tribalism. So shout out to that. That was an incredible spot. It would have been a shame if that table didn't break when he landed on Jay. Anyway, we get a moment where a masked figure interrupts the match, picks up John Cena's WWE Championship belt. We have no idea who this is, although peaks of his skin peek out from under his shirt and gloves. And he hits John Cena with the title, beats him down, rips off his mask, and it's our freaking truth. And I know this review is getting long-winded at this point. Now, this does not make it a 5. I can't give it a 5 in good conscience, but I will give it a 4 because our boy R-Truth showing up made my heart light up after the week of criticizing WWE and TKO and Triple H, which I am going to follow up on this drama in my following video after this one. I think I'm going to record it right after this one. But after all this, to see that if we had another We Want Cody moment, just like at, WrestleMania 40, where we almost didn't get the main event that we wanted. A follow-up from the previous year of Roman and Cody. We wanted Cody to finish the story, and it happened. We got loud on social media about how much of a shame that it was that R-Truth of all people, 17 years in this company, and they don't resign him. Now, yes, there's logistics and there's business reasons why, and if I'm putting my business cap on for a minute, and if I look at R-Truth, if we're being objective, if you're not a fan, if you're just looking out for your bottom line, you kind of get how R-Truth might have been a target of release. But if we didn't speak up the way that we did, we wouldn't have got him back. And don't let anybody try to tell you different. But I'll talk more about that in my next video. The bottom line is R-Truth comes back, helps save the day. Cody. Cody gets the hit Crossroads on our boy John Cena, and I believe I might need to go back to remember who pinned who. I think Logan got hit with a spear, and then Cody hit Crossroads on Logan Paul too and pinned him. It was a busy night last night, so I might need to review that. But bottom line is the good guys win and have a funny post-show interview moment where they talk about the yeet interview and how they were actually drunk. Guys, we knew. We knew. But anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell notification if you want to keep up with these R&R videos. But I love you guys and enjoy wrestling. Keep it casual. And I'll see you next time.